Hi everyone, it's Cass. Welcome back to my channel, What Cass Read. Today, I'm gonna do a video, again, like piggybacking off of tag teaming off of some of the videos that I did last week. And last week I talked about book series that I want to start, book series that I would like to finish, and right now I have some book series that I am planning on DNF'ing. There's a few in here that I could be talked into continuing, but we'll see. The first book that I want to talk about, this is Three Dark Crowns, written by Kendar Blake. This book I read a couple of years ago as a YA story that I feel like a lot of people at the time that it was out were talking about it pretty favorably. This is a story about three different triplet sisters who live on this island, and on some significant birthday, they're supposed to fight to the death so that way only one queen will remain, only one girl with all her powers will retain the queendom for this island. So I really liked the idea of this. I really like the concept of this. There's a poisoner queen. There's like an elemental queen. I remember that. Who was the third one? What was her? A naturalist queen. There we go. See, it's coming back to me. So I did enjoy this book. I think I probably gave it 3 or 4 stars. It wasn't like mind-blowing. I think the ending of this one was the only thing that really saved it, because it did kind of drag on for a while. There's some political powers and stuff like that. Like, there's all good things, but it just isn't enough to keep my interest in comparison to the books that are on my shelf right now. That's a theme that you're gonna see with some of these book series that I'm DNF'ing, because there's just a lot of book series on my shelf right now, and if you're not, you know, in the top books that I really want to get to, I'm probably gonna cut you. So that's how Three Dark Crowns wound up in this pile. This next book, Children of Blood and Bone, written by Tomi Adeyemi. You've seen this in several different types of videos of mine. I hauled this, bought into the hype. I kind of lost interest in it. Then I tried to unhaul it. Then I saved it for a second chance TBR, and then it got nominated for the BookTube SFF Awards. So then I ended up reading 30% of this book before I DNF'd it. It just wasn't that great. I feel like, wow, the publishing company really did their job. They spent a lot of money promoting this book. But the thing that annoyed me the most about it is there would be some type of like danger or peril and impossible task in front of her. And then literally 2 pages later, she'd have a solution to whatever it was. And it just kept happening over and over and over and over again. This isn't good storytelling to me. I've been having a hard time with some diverse reads where it's just, I'm craving diverse reads so much, but the author can't deliver a story that's really gonna speak to me. So anyways, yeah, this is a book series that I'm definitely DNF'ing. No more second chances, no more saving it. It's done, it's out of here. This book is Trail of Lightning, written by Rebecca Rowanhorse. I read this year for Best Debut category for the BookTube SFF Awards, and this is book number 1 of the 6th World Series. I ended up rating this book 2 out of 5 stars. I didn't DNF it, but I sure wanted to. I finished it and I gave it 2 out of 5 stars. This takes place, it's like an urban fantasy, post-apocalyptic United States. There was this cataclysmic event that happened to the United States. So the United States is no more, and there's different parts of the United States that have become their own sovereign nations, and the Navajo people are one of them, where the Navajo Nation has walled itself off from the rest of the country and become their own sovereign nation once more. So then by doing that, their powers were able to rise. There's a lot more Navajo mythology that we see in here. Main heroine who is trying to, what is she trying to do? Because I can't even remember. Oh, she's a monster hunter. She is a bounty hunter for monsters, and so this whole book is her trying to track down this monster. That's what it was supposed to be, but it really felt like her just chasing after an ex. Like, there was so much buildup between her and this ex that wasn't really an ex, but we're not really sure. We just spent so much time devoted to this character who was on the page for maybe 10 pages at most, and we spent most of the time talking about him. I didn't enjoy the main character, Maggie. She's just your typical urban fantasy tough girl that I was like, she didn't really do anything for me. But what I was pretty disappointed in this read was that the more I read it, the more I realized that Maggie doesn't actually do anything for herself. Everything that she does is because someone else told her to, even though she's supposed to be like super independent. Like no ideas are actually her original ideas. So I did give this 2 out of 5 stars. This definitely falls in the category of me craving diverse own voices reads, but the author is just not giving it to me. Is just not giving me what I'm looking for. So I will not be continuing with the 6th World series. So this is a book that I could be talked into. I could be, but we'll see. I read The Last Wish about 2 years ago. This is the first book in the Witcher series, written by Andrzej Sapkowski. My Last Wish review is actually my most popular watched video on my channel. For whatever reason, I don't speak very highly about this book. I rated it 2 out of 5 stars as well. This is a collection of short stories, pretty much all setting us up for the world of The Witcher. It's not really even the first novel that's supposed to begin. So that's why I'm like, could I be talked into it? I'm not really sure. So these short stories read to me like small fairy tales, like adult fairy tales, because this is translated from the Polish, from original Polish. I didn't feel like the translation worked really well for me. I don't know. I don't really understand why I didn't like it, but I just was thoroughly bored with this. I didn't really like many of the short stories. I only liked one of them about an incestuous king. And I don't know if I'm just going to be one of those people that ends up watching the series, because like the video game looks cool. I just don't understand why the novels weren't that great. Okay, this is Cinder, written by Marissa Meyer. This is book number 1 of the Lunar Chronicles. I think I'm just bored with the Lunar Chronicles. I made it all the way to Cress, which is the 3rd book out of 4, and then I started Winter, and I don't know, I feel like I just kind of missed the simplicity of Cinder. Like, I really liked Cinder, I really liked Eco, I really liked the Prince, and I just liked having this small little world of Cinder, this cyborg, trying to win her true love and separate herself from her evil stepmother, and all the things that you expect from a Cinderella story. But as we got into Scarlet and we met some new characters, and then we got into Cress, and Cress was really cute and sweet, and now we're in Winter. Maybe I should just finish this one up. See, I'm no good at DNFing series. I can DNF a book no problem, but DNFing series is something that I have a much harder time doing. This one I firmly set my mind upon DNFing. So this one is not a wishy-washy choice for me. This is the Fever series, written by Karen Marie Moning. Book number 1 is Dark Fever. I made it all the way through book 3, I think. 3 or 4? I read Dark Fever, Blood Fever, Fae Fever. Maybe I was working on Dream Fever. So this is an urban fantasy paranormal romance. A young woman, Michaela Lane, her sister, has been gruesomely murdered while she was studying abroad in Ireland. So she takes it upon herself to travel to Ireland to find out what happened to her, because it was a gruesome, mysterious murder. No one really knows what happened. And she meets this mysterious character named Jericho Barons, who is not really letting her in on the kinds of information that he knows about her sister's murder. I think what turned me off is, like, as I've gotten more and more into the series, this is a series about Fae, so the more and more we get into the Fae realm, and we've got Fae hunters, and there's this love triangle, there's tons of sex in here. And so I thought for sure this was going to be like a super fun paranormal romance that would just be a palate cleanser for me. But man, some of these sexual encounters are pretty toxic, and I'm like, I guess I'm not in the mood for like a toxic sexual relationship. The Fae magic is not really the book that I started upon. I really like this setting, and the setting that we're in book 4 is not really what I was hoping for or looking for. That tends to happen to me with Fae books, is I really like the real world setting of finding Fae in, but then as soon as we like get into like a Fae court or a Fae realm, then I sort of check out. So it's not Karen Marie Moning's fault, it's just that particular kind of fae story isn't my favorite. Speaking of another fae story that I've DNF'd, I have DNF'd the Falconer series written by Elizabeth something. What's her name? Elizabeth May. Okay, the Falconer series written by Elizabeth May. I read this book last year as well, and I rated it 2 out of 5 stars. So I just did not enjoy that book at all, and that's why I won't be continuing with the series. I forgot what it was like to roll my eyes as hard as I did when I read this book. So this follows a young woman, I forgot her name already, but she lives in 18th century Scotland, in Edinburgh. She is also this like fae hunter, but she's like a society girl. She rolls around in high society's Edinburgh, Scotland. This was pitched as like a Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but with fae and in Scotland sort of situation, and that tagline alone is what drew me into the story. But when I read it, I was just thoroughly bored. It was like the it was like the Fever series light. It was like the Fever series, but for YA. And I was like, I might as well just like stick to the Fever series, instead of going on this YA light route. I mean, the romance was just like, she was just like dipping her toes in the romance, where this is like full on naked times, under the influence of fae magic. Yeah, I rolled my eyes super hard. Okay, and then the final series that I am planning on DNFing is the Foundry series. This is book number 1, Foundry Side, written by Robert Jackson Bennett. I read this book for the BookTube SFF Awards as well. This one was nominated for the Best Fantasy category, and I rated this book 4 out of 5 stars. So I did really enjoy this book. I would have been cool if this book was a standalone, and I'm probably just going to treat it as a standalone, because I just don't plan, like, I liked it, but I wasn't as drawn into it to continue on with the series. So it's a really fun adventure story, cool magic system. I liked Clef, the magical key character. It was good overall, but like I said, I would have been cool if this was a standalone, because that's how I plan on treating it. All right, so that is it. A couple books that I can be talked back into reading the series, but overall there's some series in here that I'm just not planning on it because I didn't like them, or like Foundry Side, I'm just not intending on finishing it because I was good with what I read. So a healthy mix of DNFing in there, I feel like. So let me know, are there some book series that you've DNF'd, or are you like me? Like, is DNFing a series really difficult for you? But I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. You can also find me on my social media. That's on Instagram and Twitter at whatcassread, same as this channel. Super easy to find. Goodreads link is always listed down below. And of course, you know how these videos end. I'll talk to you later. Bye. Running down to the riptide, taking a way to the dark side.